Welcome to 1991 Movie Rewind, a podcast where we watch and review every movie released in 1991, from the all-time greatest classics to the critically panned and everything in between. We will rediscover forgotten fan favorites and uncover hidden gems as we explore the depths of direct-to-video. Join us in our celebration of the fun, unique, and diverse films of this highly underrated year. This week, we watched Motorama. In Motorama, 10-year-old Gus, played by Jordan Christopher Michael, runs away from home in a red Mustang. His goal is to start a new life by taking what little money he has and hop from gas station to gas station to play their Motorama card game and win $500 million. Screenplay by Joseph Minion, directed by Barry Shils, and premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 10th, 1991. Have you seen this movie before?
No.
Had you heard of this movie?
No. I didn't know about this movie until we were looking up movies for this month of Fantasy Month.
Yeah. Which, I guess it fits. I thought it was going to be a little more family-friendly than it was. It's not incredibly unfamily-friendly.
I mean, the kid is swearing.
Yeah, there's like one little scene of nudity in there too, but...
Yeah. And this is rated R.
It's rated R, probably because of the nudity. And maybe there's more than one F-bomb? I don't remember anymore.
I mean, he swears a lot.
Does he?
Yeah. I don't know if he says more than one F-bomb, but he's saying...
Yeah.
Like shit and I don't know, son of a bitch or whatever. I don't know.
He comes off as an adult a lot of the times, and all of the adults who interact with him also basically treat him like an adult, which is interesting dynamic that they chose to do for this.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little kid who is driving a car and is clearly fully alone, and yet that's never the first question out of anyone's mouth, I don't think, other than the policeman.
Yeah.
But everyone else is just like, hey, how's it going? Or, you know, where'd you get the money for that car? Or, you know, do you want a room for the night? You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
no one questions it at all, that he's alone and this little kid.
Yeah, they're not like, oh, where you're... Except the only people that think he's a kid is the cop, and then those two people that kidnapped him?
Yeah, and I think the cop only really mentions it because he's asking about who owns the car in general.
Oh, and he just says, my dad.
Yeah, since he stole it, he had to say his dad to kind of like cover for his own crime. And then, oh, well, where's your dad? He's like, oh, he's in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And then the kidnapping couple, which was a weird... I mean, this whole movie is full of weird scenes.
Yeah.
But when that couple came into the diner, he acted as if he knew who they were. Like, he had a reaction to them, like, oh, I gotta escape from these people. And I thought it was his parents.
Yeah, but I mean, they obviously don't know who the kid is.
Yeah. It was a weird reaction.
Yeah.
But he knew that they were trouble, and rightfully so.
I mean, maybe... Well, I don't know. 'Cause I was thinking, well, maybe he was just staying away from all adults, but not really. That can't be it.
Yeah, it's really tough to say. Yeah, to sort of go back to the original question, my experience, I've seen this box a lot working at the video store, and I don't think anything in the box art or anything really prepares you for what this movie is trying to be.
Yeah, because you have Drew Barrymore on it. And she's only just kind of like a vision of this kid's dreams.
She's in, yeah,
for like 2 scenes.
If that.
If that. I don't know, like a couple of times.
Yeah, like a minute of screen time total, and yet here she is
with her face. I mean, they probably, people know who Drew Barrymore is, so they're probably like, oh, Drew Barrymore's in it, let's watch this movie.
I think that was the intention, but yeah, even the tagline, some of them are misleading. So you have a couple. One is The Ultimate Road Odyssey from the writer of After Hours. Yeah, I think that'd get people's attention. Most kids can't wait to get their driver's license. 10-year-old Gus didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. And then There's Only One Way to Win the Girl of Your Dreams. Floor it. And, with the box art, it's indicating that Drew Barrymore is the girl of his dreams, which...
but he's not
never
really
see in
going
real life.
For a girl of his dreams.
It's never stated to be the goal.
Yeah.
No,
the goal is
always
to
get the money.
The money, yeah. To win this
fake contest.
Yeah, this kind of like now with the McDonald's pieces, with the Monopoly pieces type of thing. Like you can win millions of dollars, and this is the same situation. And then you have to spell out the word Motorama, and obviously you get like 1,000 M's.
Yeah.
and then near the end of the movie he gets all of them, but he spends a lot of time looking for the R. Like the R is the rare one.
Yeah. It's you kind of understand where that storyline is going, right? Where he's going to have some letters that he picks up along the way, and it's just kind of a way to show progression when the movie doesn't give you any naturally, because he's really just bouncing from location to location and having these quirky interactions with random cameos, and then he moves on to the next one and talks to some other people that, if it was me and my parents watching this back in 1991, they would have recognized and I would not have. A lot of people who are in movies from like the 70s and 80s and things like that make guest appearances, but really the only way to really know that there's anything progressing is you have a bunch of shots of the dashboard where he keeps all the letters, which is a really nice touch. So you can see, okay, well, he has the 2 M's, and now he has the A's, and now he has the O, and whatnot. And that's the way to tell how far along in a movie you are to a degree, even though I think in one scene he gets 3 letters at a time, so it kind of takes that away too.
Yeah, in the beginning he gets so it's he's going on a road trip to these gas stations that are participants of this contest, the Chimera.
Yeah, it's all fake. So Chimera gas stations are running this contest at Motorama in this, I don't know, like the whole world is kind of apocalyptic.
It seems that, but it's just like in the desert. It's like in
very rundown desert locations.
You're like in the eastern side of California into Arizona up to like Salt Lake. So he's going through all those, dry states like Nevada.
Yeah, but with town names that are not familiar to me at all.
I thought he went to Salt Lake.
Did he
that was the only town.
The one I remember them specifically mentioning was, I think it was Essex.
It could have been.
And I didn't know what, was there actual significance in this? I thought it was maybe a Canadian production or something, because the money that they use is not American dollars. It was shot in America as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
But they used what was the currency they used? Danish. They did use some sort of European currency in this to kind of give it more of like a more off-putting vibe.
Oh, all I know is that you had to make a $5 purchase to get these cards.
But all of his money was colored.
Yeah, it looked like Monopoly money to me. But I didn't know it was
European in some way.
Oh, okay.
It was like old Danish money or
I just thought like this is
like
some made up world. I mean, this entire world is like a made up world. And I just thought, they use like Monopoly money or whatever.
Yeah, it led to the fantasy of it or to the fact that this could be in the future and we just don't know. I don't know. Or just an alternate reality.
Yeah, it doesn't say what year it is, so we don't know.
What we can say is that it very much looks like a 90s movie in the way that it's shot.
Oh, yeah.
I got very strong Pete and Pete vibes from this.
Oh, this was... I was also thinking, is this a USA Up All Night movie too?
I don't know. I didn't check.
Oh, because this is something I would have watched if I knew about it. If it was on USA All Night, I would have liked it when I was younger.
I would have liked it when I was... I liked it now.
I mean, I like it, but I probably would have been, like, really, like... this gave me, like, John Waters, like, even David Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know who Greg Araki is?
I know the name. Yep.
Like, those types of, like, weird, quirky vibes. And then... like, those types of movies I was, like, so drawn to when I was, like, in my teens. Like, Crybaby, I was, like, obsessed with. And then, like, And then there was someone in Crybaby that was in this movie.
Susan Tyrrell.
Yeah, she... So
played
I was,
the bartender in one of the first scenes.
And, so, like, if I knew about this movie in the mid-90s, I would have been, like, so obsessed with it.
I agree. I think this would have been one of those things where...
It's like...
it was that secret movie that I found for myself.
Yeah. And no one knows about it.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this is my little...
That's why I figured this should be a USA Up All Night movie, but it probably wasn't. Because, I mean, I didn't watch every single movie, but...
It might have been.
USA Up All Night.
There is so much cult and camp in this that it would fit right in. So yeah, like you got Susan Tyrell in there, who is not only in Crybaby, but also like Forbidden Zone and Flesh and Blood and Tapeheads and Big Top Pee-wee. But she's also an Oscar nominee for Fat City, and she's been in Andy Warhol's Bad. And then you have a bunch of other similar people, like the kidnapping couple that we talked about. We got Maria Warrenov coming back. We saw her before in Rock and Roll High School Forever as, I forget her character's name already. I want to say Dr. Claw, but that's Inspector Gadget.
She's just like the principal.
Yeah, she was the...
I don't know her name in that. I just know her as I forgot her name in that.
So, I mean, that's the type of quality of person that you have in this. And Sandy Barron plays the husband, who's like a stand-up comedian from the 60s and 70s. And there's several comedians from the 60s and 70s that are in this movie as well. So it's a very interesting cast. But shot, like a modern day, well, at the time, modern day kids' TV show. Just with some adult themes.
Yeah, I mean, I get the Pete and Pete, like with the younger Pete with the tattoos.
Yeah, this is like younger Pete is allowed to use saltier language and he's on a solo adventure. Mm-hmm. And he's going through. And even the first person you come across really... not the first person, but the first major character you come across, Phil, at the gas station...
He like kind of looks like Artie.
And Bus Driver Stu, like a combo of those two types of things. I don't know. Like, he's more innocent like a Bus Driver Stu.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah.
But it's not...
But it's not. Him. No, it's not the same person. Phil is played by John Deal, who we've seen in Kickboxer 2. He was Jack, the business manager.
Which, that's like a... He was like a dickhead in that.
No, he's just, he was a very straightforward...
He was just kind of allowing shit to happen and not like, confronting...
Completely different character type also.
Yeah, yes. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is totally different role.
So, yeah, here he's much more... I don't know. He's more childlike than Gus is.
Yeah.
In this whole scenario. It's such a weird movie. I don't know. We could go through like scene by scene by scene, but it's it's really something that I think is probably best for people to explore a lot on their own. But I don't know, it's just fascinating to see where the movie was going to go next.
I mean, yeah,
and how it was going to pay off if it was going to pay
You're
off.
like rooting for him to win this contest.
Yeah, but I also at the same time didn't care if he ever got anywhere with the contest, because I was just kind of like, okay, well now what is the movie going to throw at me next?
Well,
you know, like I was more interested in that. You know, we go from Phil to the motel clerk played by Jack Nance from Twin Peaks and basically every David Lynch movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he is the lead character in Eraserhead, right? And then you have, you know, the scene with Meatloaf doing the arm wrestling. And you know, Sandy Barron and Mary Warnoff is the kidnapping people, and things just continue to escalate and escalate and escalate, and like the kid is like getting beat up and like getting mutilated.
Yeah, to the point where, like when with the Meatloaf scene, you can say that, you know, because he only has what, like $30 to his name or something.
So
he's going
like
up to people and he's kind of like challenging or betting with them, like the one guy with his family, like, throwing horseshoes. He's like, I'll bet you $100 I'll get all of them, the horseshoes on the whatever spike thing, and then you owe me $100, and he gets it.
Yeah, and then that
so he's
takes
like
a fun
winning
turn too.
Yeah.
Dick Miller plays the horseshoe player there. Best known to me is from Gremlins 2, but obviously from other stuff too. But
he's winning, but then the people that he wins against, they're butthurt about it, and then he gets, I mean, the first thing after the arm wrestling is he gets his entire arm, like he gets a full sleeve of tattoos.
Yeah, because he can't pay up.
Yeah, he can't pay up, but then they just leave him there, and he's like passed out from like all the tattoos on, and then they rip off his sleeve, so he's walking around with like one sleeve to show all the tattoos on his arm.
And before that, he had lost his eye basically because.
Oh, after that, he got his eye.
No, it was before that. Yeah, the kidnapping couple came through and hit him, punched him in the eye, and it got infected or whatever, and they brought like a doctor to this hotel room.
That whole scene was like
we're
insane.
not going to fix it. It's not worth the money.
Yeah, like the whole scene was just like over the
top,
but it was making me laugh. It's just, yeah, the kidnapper, I don't know why did they kidnap him, because he was just a kid?
I don't know if they fully
or
said,
they wanted money, but I mean, he doesn't have a lot.
Salacious or whatever. Yeah, they don't really fully.
But yeah,
say.
they knock him out and they bring him to some hotel room, and that's when, like, he wakes up and he's, wow, my eye really hurts. Like, what? Like, can you call a doctor? And they're like, okay. It's just like some
super bloody.
And the doctor comes and like, well, he needs surgery.
Yeah, he'll
like
lose
his
sight.
He's gonna lose his sight.
And the kidnapping couple is like, okay, that's cool. He's gonna lose his sight, so he can't identify us anymore, basically.
Yeah.
So like, oh well, it's our decision since he's our son. So
yeah, they're posing
as
his parents. And then the doctor's like, okay, and then leaves.
Yeah.
But it's like, what if he did do the surgery? Like, you can't do it right then and there.
Yeah. Maybe they would have if in this movie. You never know.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny.
So yeah, and there's a lot of weird scenarios, and yeah, he's driving from different towns, and so each gas station attendant has its own quirky personality there as well. And then you have like this long scene with Flea, who plays the busboy in the restaurant with the kidnapping couple.
Yeah, and he poses as like an inspector.
Yes. Yeah, so the little kid Gus poses as an inspector in order to
at a diner.
Elude the captors before they become the captors.
Right.
And his ultimate goal is to steal their gas from the couple so he can continue on his way. Because he's trying to steal the gas, and that's when he gets like punched. They catch him. But yeah, before that he goes in and meets up with the cook, played by Paul Wilson, again, a notable comedian of the time, and we'll see him again in 1991's Problem Child 2. Probably best known as from Office Space as one of the Bobs. But yeah, the Gus is over here saying, "Oh, this is a unclean kitchen. You know, that's a fine of like $10 or $100."
It's like you made navy bean soup. That's $20.
Yeah,
like it's just like
he's just making up his own
things.
penalties, and the cook is going along with it, even though this is clearly a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really silly.
But it's like the right kind of silly.
Yeah, and everyone thinks that he's an adult, but then all he put on is, you know, those like glasses with the big nose and the mustache, and like a white coat on, and everyone's afraid of him.
Yeah. It's just it goes weird places. So yeah, he's driving from town to town, and like I said, there's this one little part where they specifically mention that he's going into Essex, and I don't know where Essex is supposed to be. I know it as a town in the United Kingdom, but I don't know if it is one in
the U.S.
the Western United States.
Yeah, there's probably an Essex in every state, probably.
But they make specific mention of it being Essex, which is weird. And then they show how lawless of a land it is, and you have like just people running around with drugs and, you know, crime happening on every little turn. And there's this guy dressed up like a pope in a chair, and he's getting shot. And then you have like Ku Klux Klan members and stuff like that. It's just like this complete lawlessness, and just such a weird out there scene. And I didn't know if like maybe Essex was like, you know, some sort of like a joke from the time or something. I don't know, but it goes in weird places. You know, you have the scene where he crashes the car, and then he sees the dying man who's in the exact same clothes as him, in the exact same car as him. It's like him from the future.
Still looking for that letter R.
Yeah, all he needs
and
is
that's
the
when
R.
I was thinking, oh, so he's just never gonna find it, and he's just gonna spend his whole life looking for the R.
Right.
But he does find it.
He does, yeah. The guy's like, don't give your kids names that start with R, because it's gonna ruin your luck. Because, okay, here's the thing with the contest. We don't know how long it's been going on, but they make specific note to say it never expires. Spelling out Motorama makes you eligible for $500 million. All ages are eligible, and it never expires. So it's been going on for so long that a lot of the stations that they come across, or people make fun of him for playing the Motorama games. Like, oh, nobody plays that anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody, like, this is stupid. Why are you playing this? No one plays Motorama. And so they can't even find the cards or whatever, and things like that happen too. But he goes to a different gas station, and it's this hunchbacked type of guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
He can't talk.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives him the
R.
the one card that he has available.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the last $5 that Gus has, probably. And ends up being the R that he needs.
And I mean, so like, as it's making you think as if he's a man, because when he goes to that family, there's like, it's like this family on a picnic, and that's, you know, the guy's playing horseshoes with his daughter, and then the wife and the son are just sitting at a picnic table, and that's when the son is like, ew, that man over there only has one eye. He's weird looking. Mm-hmm. But this is the funny thing. This makes me think of John Waters, where she's kind of like, she's like, you know, don't say that. But then he says it again, and she's like...
Yeah, because the cuss is like, oh, no, it's okay. I understand.
Yeah.
And then the mom eggs him on.
Yeah, say it again, then. So it's like that type of humor. But as he's progressing along, like, his hair all of a sudden becomes white and gray, even though he's still like a 10-year-old kid.
Well, I think part of it is because when he crashes his car, like, a lot of the dust and stuff from the environment gets into his hair. But yeah, it
makes
makes
it obvious that he's got like white hair.
Yeah, it makes him look older because he has the eye patch, he has the tattoos, and now he has the white hair, and then I think he has like some stubble that had kind of formed on his chin in the same type of way.
So they think he's like this weird looking old man, even though he's just like a 10-year-old boy. I don't know, with a wig on. But
yeah, he goes through a journey in multiple ways in this thing.
Yeah, so he finally gets the letter R. And that's when he goes to the company headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to the lobby and calls. He's like, I want to talk to whoever is in charge of Motorama. And then whoever he's on the phone with is like, okay, yeah, that's me. And he's like, okay, well, I got all the letters and I spelled out Motorama, so give me the money. I'm the winner. And that's when they just, say turn the card over and read the rules again. It just says you're eligible to win, not you won.
Right, and that will let you know.
Yeah, we'll let you know if you are the winner.
Right.
But then, he gets pissed off. And that's when he just kind of... So, since he's like a 10-year-old kid, he's trying to find out... Because I forgot the woman's name. She's like, this is...
Miss Lawton.
Miss Lawton. So he's looking on, back in the day when... I don't know if lobbies still do this anymore in major offices. But they used to. I mean, I don't know. When he was on... Like, if you go in the lobby, you just look by last name and then it's the floor they're on. So he's looking for L... Mm-hmm. But he can't reach high up, so he's jumping up and down trying to find L.
Yeah, and you get like a POV shot of the blurry stuff and trying to read it with him.
And he finds her office number and goes up the elevator to find her.
And there's a couple more cameos there. You got Alice Beasley, who's the receptionist in that little area. She's known for moonlighting. Where she has 2 Emmy nominations and a Golden Globe for that. And then Robin Duke is Miss Lawton, who was Emmy nominated for SNL for writing back in, the Dead Zone days. She was, I think that was like 86 or so when she got her Emmy nomination, but she was a cast member on SNL and then also SCTV cast member for a little bit there as well. So a couple more cameos in there from comedians. And basically, yeah, they basically say, yeah, no, they try to get information saying, like, which station gave you the R? Because basically nobody was ever supposed to win this contest.
Yeah, this is like the
it's
McDonald's
just a thing to do. And he wouldn't be able, he didn't give the information, and they throw him out the window.
Right.
into the water. And evidently there's water down below outside the office because he's thrown out like a multi-story building.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, he's dead? But no. So this water like washes him. All of a sudden his eye is healed and his arm, like all the tattoos are gone. And he's just back to being this 10-year-old kid again. And his car is good as new because his car kind of like broke down or whatever.
When he crashed his car, I'm pretty sure he stole the car from the dying guy. Because his car was like in a ditch basically. And he got out and that's when he started talking to the dying guy who was dressed like him. And then that guy died and then I think he just took dying guy's car. Which was the same as his. Because he kept, they both basically had all the letters except for the R. And so he just took the car and continued on the way. So I think that's why it looked okay, is because it wasn't the one that crashed. But I thought it was something where it was kind of flashing back before everything happened to him.
Yeah, but it's
no.
just like... But he's not even mad about it. He's just like, okay, I'm going to move on with my life.
Yeah.
And that's when he
starts hitchhiking because he abandons the car altogether and hitchhikes.
But he makes his way back to the first gas station where Phil is. But we didn't even... So Phil is like this religious guy. Like he was something with the kite. Like he has a kite.
He was using the kite to show his dead... either his dead dad or Jesus. I don't remember which one. Probably Jesus. This picture that the newspaper was trying to take of him. And he's like, the only person who needs to see this is the man upstairs, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so he attached it to a kite and tried to get it as high up as possible.
Right. But the kite went loose, and that's when...
Because Gus let it loose so he could escape.
Yeah, because Phil was... Yeah, 'cause at that point, that's when the cop came by and was asking all these questions. So that's when Phil was lying and saying, oh, my dad's here.
Yeah,
or
Phil did
Gus
not want to
lying.
lie to the cop.
Yeah,
basically. He's like, well, I know
Gus
that you're a
was lying, not
liar
Phil.
and whatever, and so I can't do that because I'm a religious man and I need to tell the truth.
Yeah, and Phil got mad at him and chased him around this tiny little gas station. But Phil is chasing after this kite and he gets hit by a semi, and we all assume that he gets killed.
Right.
But when Gus returns to him, he is... I don't know, he's
just in a full body cast now.
Yeah, I guess so. Like,
and like
he's
I'm trying to do his
think,
job
like
and he's having a really hard time, but he has the name tag on top of the body
Yeah, he
cast.
has the name tag on top. So his entire body is cat. I'm trying to think, like, even his head. Yeah, his entire body is just in a cast.
Yeah, I think his head is fine.
Except for his head, because I thought his head was bandaged, like he was mummy-like, but I guess not.
But that's the real clue to say that this stuff happened, because when he's hitchhiking, Gus gets picked up by the cop, but he's not in his cop's uniform and not in a cop car, and doesn't give any indication that they've seen each other before.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, okay, well, this is just like a Wizard of Oz thing, and now he's seeing people.
Yeah,
but then you get to Phil, and he's in the full body cast.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay.
And they just work at the gas station together because, Gus just helps Phil out because Phil can't really do it by himself.
Yeah, it's a callback to another conversation as well to kind of largely end things. But
yeah, it's another kind of, I don't know if it was like a foreshadowing thing. Like in the beginning where Phil was just explaining about working at a gas station. He's like, maybe you'll work here one day, or work as a gas station attendant one day. Not exactly there.
Yeah, I think the cop even points to the sign. He's like, yeah, this would be a good place to work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then, there's some customer there who had just won $1 million, and I guess is sort of like rub it in Gus's face in a sense, karma-wise, like, oh, hey, look, things don't always come to good people, or whatever you want to say from it. But then that guy drives off and gets hit by a truck, too.
Yeah. So, but then Gus does, well, this is like at the end of the movie, Gus just remains at the gas station with Phil, just staring off into the distance. Like, do they go and get the $1 million? Well, it makes you think, like, are they going to go get this money or not?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because I think the credits roll, like, right after the accident, possibly.
Yeah,
so
and you just see Gus and Phil staring out down the road.
Yeah. It's another cameo there. The $1 Million Driver with Shelley Berman, another comedian from the late 50s and early 60s. He has a Grammy win for Best Comedy Album in 1959. And also Emmy nominated for a guest spot on Curb Your Enthusiasm, and was part of the Compass Players with Mike Nichols. So, like I said, a lot of names in this. Some that we haven't even talked about, like Garrett Morris makes another appearance and things like that too. So, very, very interesting movie. I think the one thing that kind of hurts it is just that it is an independent movie, and so the audio lacks a lot of polish. It is slow moving at times. I don't know, like, don't expect high production values.
Yeah.
But if you can kind of, accept the indie feel, the, 16 millimeter crunchiness and audio pops and stuff like that, then you're going to have an interesting time. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the last of the cast and crew that we haven't talked about already. We got Barry Shils, the director. He has not done a whole lot. This is really his only fiction film that he did. He did a documentary called Wigstock the Movie, which is about a giant drag event that happened in New York City. I think that was directed in 1995. like RuPaul and all those people are in there.
Yeah.
So he did that one. He's also a producer who's done things for Real Sex on HBO, and also produced Vampire's Kiss, which was written by this movie's writer, Joseph Minion. So Joseph Minion did After Hours and Vampire's Kiss. Those are the most notable ones that he's done. Jordan Christopher Michael, who played Gus, didn't do a whole lot of notable acting. Around this time, he was on one episode of Saved by the Bell, which I've seen many, many times, because I've seen a lot of those episodes many times as a kid, and also had a several episode run on Full House. Again, a couple other people that we haven't mentioned. Martha Quinn has a cameo in here, MTV VJ. Richard Picardo is the policeman. He has a more notable role than we kind of talked about. Just like Dick Miller, he is in Gremlins 2, and he also has a Saturn nomination for his role in Gremlins 2, which is really weird. Because I was trying to think of, like, what did he really do? But he got seduced by the female gremlin. And evidently that earned him a Saturn nomination.
Huh.
He also has an Emmy nomination for a guest actor spot on The Wonder Years, where he played the coach. Probably best known for the role as the Doctor in Star Trek Voyager, which he played for 168 episodes. And he's going to be in several other 1991 movies as well. So we'll talk about him more later. A lot of these people are also in a bunch of 1991 movies, so I'm going to sort of pass over them. And we'll just talk about Drew Barrymore, who played the Fantasy Girl, because this is her only 1991 movie. She's an Emmy-nominated and Golden Globe-winning actress for Grey Gardens. Also Emmy-nominated for All of the Other Reindeer, which is a producer role for some sort of kids thing. She has a few daytime Emmy nominations for her talk show. Razzie nominated for Blended, Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, Duplex, and Freddy Got Fingered. MTV Movie Award winner for Best Kiss for Wedding Singer, and also winner for Best On-Screen Team for Charlie's Angels and 50 First Dates, and has been nominated for the Best Dance, Best Fight, Best Kiss for Never Been Kissed. And she's been in all kinds of different stuff like Altered States, Firestarter, E.T., Cat's Eye, Far From Home. All of that happened before this movie, so she is well established in the industry before she went on to do things like Scream and Charlie's Angels and all that kind of stuff with Adam Sandler. So yeah, huge cast. Tried to sort of throw some names in there as we went along, but fascinating to see all the little cameos that pop up in this thing. There were no awards to mention on this one. This one came out in the film festival circuit in 1991. But it did not see a U.S. release until 1993 on home video. So, yeah, eventually it made its way here. But it did have a little bit of box office performance. It made about $10,000 total, which puts it at 247 on our list. So we'll move on to true crime and pop culture.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the death of Jack Nance,
who played the motel clerk in this one.
Yes.
A very interesting scene where he's obsessed with squirrels.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's like so many things that we could say. Like each person that Gus came along had like a weird quirkiness to them.
Yeah.
And so Jack Nance, he was obviously known for being in a lot of David Lynch's movies, and then mostly, known for Eraserhead. And he was found dead in his apartment in December of 1996. So I found also his death is considered a homicide still. And people, like, I got information from the LA Times, the Pasadena Weekly, and then there's this website called medium.com, and it's kind of got, crimes. There's like a crime log about, just about his unsolved, like his death is still unsolved to this day. And at the end of the article, it says if you have any information about his death, to call the Pasadena Police Department. So it's still open.
Still a cold case.
Yeah, so just like a little bit about Jack Nance. He struggled with alcohol addiction for most of his life, I guess. And he was married to Catherine Coulson in the 70s. She played the log lady in Twin Peaks. And I mean, they worked together after their marriage ended because, you know, they were both on Twin Peaks together and they were already divorced by that time. And when he began working on Blue Velvet, his co-star Dennis Hopper tried to get him help and checked him into a rehab center in LA. And Jack Nance was sober for a little bit after being in rehab, after Blue Velvet. But while he was in rehab, he met... She's like an adult film person. Her name is Kelly Van Dyke. She's Dick Van Dyke's niece. They married.
Okay.
They married in 1991. And unfortunately, their marriage was very short because since they met in a rehab center, they both were battling addictions. And he was off filming Meatballs 4 somewhere, and this in 1991, and she would call him, and there was one night where she was calling him saying, you know, I'm struggling, and I guess they were having struggles with their own marriage, and I guess there was some sort, wherever he was filming, there was a rainstorm and the phone cut off, and he was worried about his wife, so he asked a friend to go see if she was okay. But this is trigger warning. The person came to their apartment or wherever they lived and found her dead. She hung herself. That was in November of 1991. And after that, he became distraught, and I think that's when he went back to drinking again. Mm-hmm. And by December of 1996, he just wrapped up filming Lost Highway for David Lynch, and he was living in an apartment in Pasadena, California, and at 5 a.m. on Sunday, December 29th, 1996, Jack Nance was drunk, and he decided to go to a Winchell's donut shop, which was near... I looked up Winchell's. It's an LA chain. There's like a few of them there, and it's like a 24-hour donut shop. Which I was thinking, like, why can't we have a 24-hour... I was like, where's
some Dunkin' Donuts are, but some are not.
Where? Because sometimes I want, like, a pastry.
I don't know.
At 11 p.m. But, so he walks from his apartment to the donut shop where he encountered two men who irritated him. And then, side note, David Lynch, I also found out they did, like, in 2002... there was a documentary made on Jack Nance. I tried to look it up, and all I found was a trailer on YouTube. So it's not streaming anywhere. But in the documentary, David Lynch said that, you know, Jack Nance was like a hard person to get along with. And he said that everyone irritated him. So Nance was still drunk from the night before and wasn't thinking clearly, so witnesses saw that he started like a verbal altercation with these two men, and one of the men punched him in the head and knocked him to the ground, and he was just left there injured. But I mean, then when I was reading these articles, I was like, okay, how did he get home?
Right.
And I'm like, why didn't these witnesses help him? Or whoever worked at the donut shop, why couldn't they call 911? So the next day he goes, I don't know how from the time he knocked out to the next day what happened between those hours, but he felt fine and he went to lunch with a couple of his friends. One of them is an actress by the name of Catherine Case, and it was her boyfriend slash fiance at the time, Leo Bulgarini. They were both in the documentary that was made about him too. They all met up for lunch, and they were surprised that he arrived because he had a big black eye, and he explained what happened the night before. But throughout the lunch, he kept on saying that he had headaches, and he was like, oh, it must have been from that fight. But, I mean, his friends were worried about him, and he just went home. And later on, Catherine sent her fiance, Leo, to go check on Jack, and that's when Leo found Nance crumpled dead on the bathroom floor. And so with investigation, when detectives arrived on the scene, they found that he had injuries that were consistent with blunt force trauma. And given the events at the donut shop, the police considered the possibility that Nance's death may be considered a murder. And the medical examiner determined Nance had suffered from subdermal hematoma and had a blood alcohol level of 0.24%. And the coroner ruled Nance's death as a homicide. The police just asked the witnesses that saw the altercation. They said it was two Hispanic males in their early 20s, and that's all the information that they gave.
Mm-hmm.
And the police were not sure who the two men were. I mean, this is in 1996. I don't know. They didn't have, cameras.
Yeah, I mean, they're not everywhere, so a donut shop might not have had security cameras.
I mean, if you're a 24-hour establishment, wouldn't you have that? Because you have all kinds of people coming in, of various... I mean, you're going to... Especially around, 4 or 5 a.m., you're going to have drunk people coming in. Wouldn't you want...
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be...
a camera.
Yeah, that's a business decision, so I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just thinking of all these possibilities, whatever. So...
Much more expensive those days than now.
Yeah, so given that he was also a heavy drinker, they also think that the excessive high blood alcohol level that was found in his toxicology report, he could have also fallen and hit his head, which resulted in his death.
Mm-hmm.
But they still think that his death is a homicide. And then at the end of this one article that's on the medium.com website, it just says, and this is from 2021, so it's a year ago, they said, if you have any information about his death, to contact the Pasadena Police Department. I don't have anything, so TV wise, I don't have anything.
Okay.
But it was September 10th, 1991 was a Tuesday night, and there wasn't anything. This was a bunch of repeats from TGIF lineups. So it was Full House, Who's the Boss, Roseanne, and Coach.
So all the standards.
Yeah, just the standard shows that you would see on a Friday night were just repeated on a Tuesday.
Yeah,
but this is probably still this is probably the summer lineup still, right before the fall.
Yeah, hopefully
starts up. And then nothing else. I looked up what happened on this day, but nothing major happened on September 10th, 1991. So moving on to music, I'm going to do the bottom 5 of the Billboard 100 as of September 14th, 1991, because 3 of these songs I've never heard of. At number 100 is Rush Rush by Paula Abdul. I mean, that was at number 1 earlier in the year. And that was 19 weeks on the charts. Number 99 is Do You Want Me by Salt and Peppa, which I hope you know what that song is.
Yeah, I'm sure I do. Because I think I had both of their albums, like both of their major albums.
Okay. I don't
It's been a long time since I've heard that song specifically.
Yeah, I don't think they played it when we went to the mixtape thing.
No.
So that was 26 weeks on the charts, and it peaked at number 21. Number 98 is a song called I'll Never Let You Go by a band called Steelheart. And this is their only single that made it on the Billboard 100 charts, I guess, and it reached number 23. And it was 27 weeks on the charts. But Steelheart, I've never heard of. They're a typical, glam metal band, but they started in 1990. Their first album is in 1990, which, I mean, glam metal bands, they were like 10 years too late.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, they got a little bit of success on the tail end of that movement, but...
Yeah, but I was just thinking... Okay, well, they decided to make an album, and then they have one hit, and it's like it's like a ballad, and except like it changes because we both because this is the first time I've heard the song, and you too. When I was playing it, we both just kind of, it's like, I'll never let you go.
Yeah.
It took a turn in this song, so I was like, whoa, okay. And we both just looked at each other. I'm like, okay. But this was they still make music because they have an album, an EP that came out in 2020.
Huh.
So, I mean, good for them, I guess.
Yeah. Gotta stay busy.
Yeah. The next song and group I've never even heard of. This song is called Keep Warm, and it's by a group called Jinny, Jinny, and this is a debut on the charts at number 97.
Okay.
And Jinny is an Italian 1990s band, and it's consists of 4 guys. So the song is, like a typical Euro dance song. And in the video, I guess they used for all the videos, for all the songs that were released while they were a band. They were only around for 5 years, and they re-released this song, Keep Warm, and it went on the charts again in 1995, which is weird. But for the videos that they made, they always had like a model that would be lip syncing their songs.
Okay. Before that was frowned upon too much.
Right. And number
That's
90.
what CNC Music Factory did too, though, right?
Yeah, for the lead
lead woman.
Woman, yeah, they used like a very pretty woman. In reality, it was just like, I mean, it's not. I don't want to say a pretty woman. It's probably just like
it was someone who was not as spry, we'll say.
Yeah,
it was someone like in her late 30s, 40s.
Right. Yeah, they want to see like like a hot, skinny female dancing around and singing when the actual singer is not that.
Right.
And number 96 is the song If You're Serious by this R&B group Riff, and I feel like we've talked about them before. Because they had 6 songs that were released in 1991, and they all were like on the charts at some point.
Okay.
And I think the one that we may have talked about is "My Heart Is Failing Me," because that's the only song that I recognize from them. But did you ever see the movie Lean on Me?
Yeah, in school.
They were in that movie. It's been a long time, but there's like a singing group in that movie, and they were the singing group.
Okay. I don't remember that, but yeah.
And they also did the song for White Men Can't Jump, and that went on the charts when White Men Can't Jump.
Next year.
Yeah, so in 1992. So, I mean, they were pretty big in the 90s. And they also are still making music because they have a single that came out in 2021 called "On This Day." This was also at number 96, and it debuted at 96 on the charts for this week, 1991.
So we'll move on to rankings and ratings. Where on your 1 to 5 star scale are you going to put Motorama?
I mean, I like this movie, but I'm going to give it a 2. I was going between 2 and 3.
I was trying to put myself in the eyes of, a 10, 11-year-old me.
Yeah.
Because, as an adult, I can see some of the flaws and some of the weirdness that doesn't really resonate. Sort of like how I had problems with Rock and Roll High School Forever. There's a lot of quirkiness in that movie that doesn't land because it's 30 years later.
Yeah.
But if I would have seen it at the time, I would have loved it, sort of like how you loved Rock and Roll High School Forever back then.
Yeah, I really liked watching that movie when I was younger. Like, that's why I was saying, if I saw this when I was younger, I probably would have given this maybe a 3. But I don't know what I gave Rock and Roll High School.
I don't know either.
I can't remember. I don't know if I was between a 2 and a 3 before.
But I know that I gave it kind of a lower ranking, and not because I didn't enjoy myself, but because I thought it wasn't, like, super well made.
Yeah.
And this one, I think is a little bit more well made, just in the fact that it doesn't overstay its welcome in any given scene, and it just kind of bounces from thing to thing. And so if you're bored with a specific scene, wait like 2 minutes and you're going to have something completely different. It's like, so I think just the vast variety and the quirkiness of it, even if like a certain character isn't your cup of tea, you're going to have 30 more to choose from, and I think that really helps it overall. So on my 0 to 4 star scale, I'm going to say it's a 3. But yeah, I think it would be higher if I would have seen it as a kid. Every movie's worth watching once. Would you watch this again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. I think this would also be a really fun midnight movie type of a screening thing. Because I don't think a lot of people know about this one. I still think it's kind of like our little secret type of a thing. Even though we didn't get to see it as a kid and sort of discovered on our own. Right. We're discovering it through this podcast. It's kind of like, you don't hear much about it.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking. I looked this up, and it wasn't on How Did This Get Made. I was like, did they talk about this? But I didn't see it on their list.
It might be too, I don't know.
Well, they talk about the most weirdest movies now, and I also looked up, did they talk about "And You Thought Your Parents Were Weird"? Because that's a weird,
a strange one.
That's like a strange movie, and I want them to talk about it because it's strange. I mean, this isn't it's strange. This movie is strange.
This is strange on purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
Usually when the How Did This Get Made crew deal with strange movies,
like
it's usually
unintentional. They're unintentionally bad. Like, they really want it to be a good movie.
Yeah. Usually. But not always.
So I don't know if they talk about... well, whatever. I don't think they talk about on purpose... schlocky, like campy type stuff, because they know it's going to be bad.
Yeah, or it just has like a different feel, and this definitely has that John Waters type of
I don't know if they. Yeah, I just don't think they would talk about John Waters movie because they're all like quirky and weird, and they're supposed to be like that,
right?
And that's what this is.
And if that sounds like what you want to see, then As of this recording in August 2022, Motorama is available on Prime, digital rental, VHS, or DVD, so always check your local listings. You can listen to us on all of your major podcasting platforms. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. You can email us at 1991movierewind@gmail.com. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and YouTube. Just search 1991 Movie Rewind or go to 1991movierewind.com for the full list of movies along with show notes and more. Next week, to close out our family-friendly fantasy month, speaking of how did this get made, we're watching Drop Dead Fred. That's available on digital rental, VHS, or DVD. We will see you then.